If you've ever tried telling a story in French, you might have noticed something frustrating. Even with a perfect vocabulary, recounting what happened last weekend can suddenly sound disjointed, mechanical, and strangely lifeless. Think about how we typically recount a day in English. I woke up, I ate breakfast, then I went for a walk. It's a sequence of flat, completed actions, one thing after another. This linear habit is why many learners struggle in French, which prefers to build narratives in layers rather than a straight line. When you pull an English past tense verb directly across the language barrier, the story breaks down. You end up stripping away the atmosphere, the context, and the temporal depth that native French speakers expect to hear. To master French storytelling, you have to approach it from a completely different angle. You need to put down the bilingual dictionary and step into the role of a film director. Let's block out a scene to see how this works. Picture an empty IT office. It's 11:30 at night. The glow of the streetlights catches the rain slicking the windows. Navigating between the two main French tenses, the Imparfait and the Passé Composé, is exactly like managing a film set. You have to know precisely which tools to use to build the stage and which tools to use when you're ready to yell action. Your first tool is the Imparfait. Think of this as your wide-angle establishing shot. It answers one vital question for your audience. What was the background? You use the Imparfait for ongoing situations. These are states of being and continuous actions floating in the past without a defined start or stop. This is the lens you use to paint the weather outside, the layout of the dimly lit office, or the exhausted mental state of the lone sysadmin sitting at the desk. The Imparfait is excellent at soaking a scene in mood and context, but because it has no boundaries, it cannot push the story forward. A film shot entirely in the Imparfait is just a painting. To get the plot moving, you need the Passé Composé. This is your sharp, kinetic action cut. It answers a different question entirely. What happened? In direct contrast to the Imparfait, you use this tense exclusively for bounded, completed actions. These events have a definitive beginning and a definitive end. This is how you introduce an event: opening a terminal, hitting the enter key, executing the deployment script. Without these punctuated cuts, the narrative is frozen. The Passé Composé acts as the sole engine of momentum, forcing your characters to do something. Effective French narratives utilize a mechanic called interruption to create texture within a single sentence. You establish a continuous, slow-moving background action, and then a specific, rapid event slices right across it. To trigger this intersection, French relies on specific cue words, like soudain for suddenly, or quand for when. Returning to our late-night IT deployment, Julien was staring bleary-eyed at a slow loading bar. That's the Imparfait. When suddenly, the screen flashed a green success message. That flash is the Passé Composé. Dynamic narration requires you to carefully paint that continuous background canvas, specifically so you have something to punch a hole through with a decisive action. Once you look at a complete narrative, you can see this architecture at work. The story breathes by alternating between atmospheric setups and sudden actions, creating a natural rhythm of tension and release. This chart highlights a strict rule about the Passé Composé. It categorizes the tense as either a global action or an accomplished action. For the grammar to function correctly, the event has to be fully completed and sealed off in the past. This leads to an interesting advanced consequence. Because the aspects of these tenses are so different, shifting a single verb from the Imparfait to the Passé Composé often changes its entire English translation. Take the verb savoir. In the Imparfait, il savait describes the ongoing, continuous state of possessing knowledge. He knew. But in the Passé Composé, il a su forces that verb into a bounded event. It becomes the exact moment of discovery. He found out. Selecting between the Imparfait and the Passé Composé dictates the physical reality of the action taking place. It is the difference between describing a persistent state and a sudden, life-altering event. Letting go of the English instinct to flatten timelines is the exact moment you graduate from being a mechanical translator to a genuine storyteller. The next time you sit down to write or speak in French, visualize your narrative. Build the set, configure the lighting, and establish the mood with the Imparfait. Then drive the plot forward with the Passé Composé. Mastering this rhythm creates an emotional payoff. It allows your listener to feel the weight of the rain, the tension of the wait, and the sudden relief of a successful deployment. Fluent French narration transforms a speaker into a director, using time to guide an audience's emotional focus.